Title: The Wandering Ghost of the Alpha King's Daughter. They said the blood moon hadn't risen in 20 years, since the night the Alpha King's daughter died in fire and silence. But tonight, the moon burns crimson again, and something in Moonveil stirs awake. Welcome back, Moonlight dreamers. And if you're new, welcome to our channel where you don't find captivating stories. It finds you. If you love romantic tales that stir your heart and haunt your sleep, make sure to like, subscribe, and let the moon guide you home each night. Let's dive back into our story. A lone figure trudges through a storm of silver ash. Ronan, a banished werewolf marked by his curse. His breath clouds in the cold air as he crosses the broken archway of Moonveil Palace, long abandoned and whispered to be haunted. Wolves dare not enter. Men call it the land of the forgotten. But Ronan, he's run out of places to hide. The blood moon hangs like a wound in the sky. Every step he takes echoes with strange whispers. At first he thinks it's the wind until a voice, soft and sorrowful, calls his name. Ronan. He freezes. No one here should know his name. His claws half extend instinctively. From the mist between shattered pillars, a girl draped in silver emerges, pale as moonlight, eyes glowing faint blue. Her dress shimmers like frost, torn yet regal. "Who are you?" he demands. "You came back," she whispers. Ronan steps back and his pulse hammering. "I've never been here." But the air around her hums like the space between heartbeats. Every sound fades. Her gaze pierces through him, familiar, aching, knowing. And then, without warning, the temperature drops. His breath crystallizes. "Don't touch me," he warns. "You already did. Once," she murmurs. A gust of wind sweeps through the ruins. Flames flicker to life around them ghostly, blue fire dancing on old stones. For a heartbeat, Ronan sees flashes. A grand coronation hall, crowds bowing, a young princess crowned beneath a silver moon, then screams, fire, and the scent of burning flesh. He stumbles, the vision gone. What was that? The girl only looks at him, sadness etched into every curve of her face. "You'll remember soon." "Your name," he presses. "Lyanna," she breathes, voice breaking like a song that forgot its ending. Ronan's heart clenches. The name echoes through the ruins. Princess Lyanna, the Alpha King's daughter who perished 2 decades ago. But the girl before him bears no burn marks, no decay, but only sorrow too alive to be ghostly. Lightning cracks. He turns to leave, but the gates behind him slam shut on their own. The blood moon flares, drenching everything in red. She reaches out, and before he can move, her cold hand brushes his. Instantly, frost crawls across his skin, burning with an impossible fire. The world spins. His pulse slows, and her whisper threads through the silence. "You shouldn't have come back, Ronan." The moon remembers, and so do I. Ronan looks down. His arm glows faintly with lunar frost spreading from her touch, pulsing like veins of silver light. The ghost vanishes, and far in the distance, the first wolf's howl of the red moon begins. The frost on Ronan's skin hasn't faded by dawn. It shimmers beneath his sleeve like veins of silver fire, pulsing in rhythm with the blood moon that is yet to set. Every heartbeat whispers her name. Lyanna. He should have left Moonveil the moment the gates reopened at sunrise. But when he steps toward the border, something yanks him backward. A violent pull that nearly throws him to the ground. Invisible chains shimmer briefly in the air, glowing with the same lunar energy that burns beneath his flesh. "You can't leave," a voice sighs behind him. He spins. There she is again. The girl in silver, standing at the edge of the mist, her hair weightless as smoke. The morning light doesn't touch her. It bends around her like she doesn't belong in this world. "What are you?" Ronan demands. "Why me?" "Because you crossed on the red moon," she replies softly. "You woke what should have stayed asleep." Her eyes glint. Not cruel, not kind, but simply ancient, He catches a faint scent of ashes on her aura, and the memory of the blue flames from last night flashes again before his eyes. Ronan finds the courage to ask, "You're Princess Lyanna, aren't you? The one who burned," she finishes for him. Her voice cracks. "Yes. They said I burned." She lifts her hand, and for a brief moment, the world around them shifts. The ruins flicker back to what they once were. The grand marble hall of the Alpha Palace. Chandeliers of wolf-bone gleam. Musicians play. A coronation crown gleams upon a young Lyanna's head. Then, suddenly, screams. Fire swallows the hall. The crowd turns to silhouettes of agony. Ronan steps forward as the vision collapses, the ruins returning. Lyanna looks down at her unburned hands. "They said the fire took me," she whispers. "But I still feel the flames." He doesn't understand. Ghosts don't bleed, they don't burn, and they don't anchor mortals to their curse. Yet here she stands, half shadow, half living pain. Determined, Ronan heads into the nearby village for answers. The locals refuse to speak her name. One old innkeeper crosses herself when he mentions the princess. "The king forbade it," she hisses. "He said the dead should sleep." That night, Ronan dreams of her again standing atop the palace balcony, her dress aflame, staring down as if waiting for him to catch her. When he wakes, her reflection stares back from the cracked mirror, even though she isn't in the room. "You don't belong here," he mutters. "Neither do you," she answers from behind him. He spins around. She's inches away now, eyes glowing with silver fire. "You can't leave," she says again, her tone trembling between plea and curse. "Not until I'm free." The wind howls outside, his breath fogs, her image flickers. "And if I refuse?" he asks. "Then the moon will claim you too." She raises her hand, and the frost on his arm ignites with burning light, spreading toward his heart. Ronan screams as her voice echoes through the ruins. The dead never rest when the truth still breathes. Ronan wakes on the cold floor of the palace, ruins, his chest heaving, heart still glowing faintly with that cursed silver frost. The ghost is gone, but her presence lingers like smoke after lightning. Outside, the blood moon has dimmed, yet the world feels heavier and quieter as though holding its breath. The wolves of Moonveil, once restless, now stay silent. Even the wind refuses to cross the palace walls. He presses a hand against his chest. The frost burns less now, more like a heartbeat that isn't his. "Not until I'm free," she'd said. Free from what? Determined to end this curse, Ronan searches the ruins. He follows faint traces of moonlight that ripple across the cracked marble, almost as if the palace itself is guiding him. The trail leads to an ancient stairway, buried under rubble and vines, spiraling deep beneath the palace. At the bottom waits a massive iron door, engraved with symbols that pulse faintly when he touches them. Runes. He recognizes the language, lunar wraith script, forbidden since the first Alpha War. "You shouldn't be here," a voice warns from the shadows. Ronan whirls, but it's Lyanna, materializing again, her form flickering between light and mist. "You want freedom?" he growls. "Then help me end this." "Some doors," she whispers, "were meant to stay closed." He ignores her plea and forces the iron gate open. A breath of cold air rushes out, so old it tastes like dust and death. The chamber beyond is vast, lined with torches that light themselves one by one as he enters, revealing rows of carved stone wolves, each one kneeling toward the center. At the heart of the tomb lies a coffin of black crystal, unburned, unbroken. Its lid is etched with a single phrase in the ancient tongue: "Let the moon guard what fire could not destroy." Ronan steps closer, but stops cold. The name on the coffin reads, Princess Lyanna Kaelen. "You see?" Her voice trembles. "They buried an empty name." He turns. She's there beside him, translucent, but trembling. "If your coffin's here," he says slowly. Then where's your body? Lyanna doesn't answer. Her eyes are fixed on the walls. Strange marks glow between the carvings, lunar runes that shift like living things, rearranging into phrases he can barely comprehend. They speak of binding, betrayal, and bloodlines cursed by moonlight. Suddenly, the ground trembles. A growl echoes through the crypt, not hers, not his. Something ancient and furious awakens beneath them. Dust rains from the ceiling. What did you do? She whispers. The coffin cracks, faint light seeping through. A voice booms, deep and otherworldly. You should not have opened this. The torches extinguish at once, plunging them into darkness. Lyanna vanishes, and Ronan feels hot breath behind him. Something vast moving in the black. A pair of eyes ignite in the dark, silver and red, reflecting the blood moon above. The beast growls a single word, echoing like thunder through the tomb. Traitor. The darkness shudders. A breath, heavy, ancient, wild, rolls over Ronan's skin, thick with the scent of cold iron and long dead fire. He turns, claws half-formed, eyes glowing gold, but what rises from the coffin's shadow is no wolf. It is a titan of bone and moonlight, its fur made of mist, its fangs forged from silver flame. The Moonveil guardian, the sacred protector of the royal bloodline, now twisted by centuries of rage. Why do you disturb my vigil? It snarls, its voice shaking dust from the ceiling. I seek the truth, Ronan gasps, stepping back. About the princess. Then you seek death. The beast lunges. The ground splits beneath its weight. Ronan rolls aside, claws raking sparks across stone. Each blow he dodges carves craters into the tomb. The guardian moves like thunder, too fast, too vast, and when its claw strikes his chest, fire meets frost. Pain sears through him. Lyanna's voice pierces the chaos, a scream of sorrow and defiance. She materializes between them, her ghostly hands raised. Silver light bursts from her palms, forming a shield of moonlight that barely holds against the beast's fury. Stop, she cries. He carries my blood now. The guardian freezes mid-strike. Ronan collapses, breathing hard. Her words echo strangely. My blood. The monster's eyes flicker with recognition, then rage. Then you have broken the sacred bond, it growls. No mortal may bear royal blood. It swipes again, but this time, Lyanna moves faster. The blow hits her spectral form, scattering shards of light. She gasps, and Ronan stares in horror. Ghosts aren't supposed to bleed, yet silvery liquid spills from her wound, dripping like molten moonlight. Lyanna, he shouts, catching her as she flickers in his arms. It's too late, she whispers. He's bound to me now. The beast roars, the entire tomb trembling. The runes on the walls ignite in silver fire, forming a symbol of sealing. With her last ounce of strength, Lyanna presses her hand over Ronan's wound, her glowing blood seeping into his skin, merging with his heartbeat. The frost within him flares, burning like liquid light. The guardian's form begins to fade, pulled back by the rune's light. Its final words thunder through the collapsing tomb. The bond is sealed, the curse reborn. Then silence, except for the echo of falling stone and Ronan's ragged breathing. He looks down. Lyanna is gone, but his veins now shimmer faintly beneath his skin, pulsing with her glow. He stumbles toward the surface, each step heavier, each heartbeat less his own. The night sky greets him, vast and merciless as the moon bleeds through the clouds. As he collapses on the palace steps, the moonlight on his skin forms the mark of a royal sigil, the Alpha's crest. And somewhere in the dark a whisper curls through the wind. The king's secret lives in you now. The dawn finds him broken. Frost clings to his skin and the crest over his heart pulses faintly like a heartbeat that isn't his. Every breath he takes tastes of silver, cold, sharp, unnatural. When he looks at his reflection in a pool of rainwater, His eyes flicker between gold and blue, a royal hybrid's mark. "What did she do to me?" he mutters. But the answer comes in the form of footsteps, slow, deliberate, echoing through the ruined courtyard. An old woman in ceremonial robes approaches, her staff carved with crescent sigils. Her eyes glint with knowing the high priestess of Moonveil, keeper of the dead, and guardian of secrets no one should speak. "You bear the mark of the Alpha's line," she says, her voice low and rough. "Tell me, boy, who gave it to you?" "Princess Lyanna," he answers. She's alive. Or something like it. "No," the priestess replies. "She's what the king made her, a tethered soul, a price he paid to keep his crown." Ronan's chest tightens. The night's events flash before his eyes. The ghost, her blood, her pain. A tethered soul. "The king did not lose his daughter in the fire," the priestess says. "He offered her, to bind the Moonveil guardian to his bloodline forever. But the bond turned on him. When she died, her spirit did not pass. It lingered, cursed to guard what he feared most, his sin." Lightning flashes beyond the broken walls. Ronan grips the hilt of his dagger, though it trembles in his hand. "Then why me?" "Because she chose you. Her bond needed a vessel, one with no pack, no ties. You were her freedom and her punishment." A silence falls. The weight of it feels heavier than the curse itself. Ronan looks down at the glowing sigil on his chest, the Alpha's crest now fully formed, burning brighter as he speaks. "If she's bound to me, then I'll set her free." "Foolish," the priestess hisses. "Break the bond and the Alpha's curse will awaken. The beast beneath Moonveil will rise again, and this time, it won't stop at blood." Her words echo, but Ronan's resolve only hardens. He turns toward the distant mountains where the old palace chapel still stands, half swallowed by vines. That's where he'll find the truth. That's where he'll end this. But as he steps away, the priestess calls after him. "Tell me, outcast, when the moon calls your name, will you still remember which heart beats inside your chest?" Ronan doesn't answer. He just keeps walking, the mark on his chest glowing brighter with every step as if something inside him is waking. Behind him, the high priestess kneels before the altar ruins, whispering into the wind. "Forgive me, princess. The curse must find its heir." The moon darkens, and far away, deep beneath the palace tomb, Lyanna opens her eyes again. The night of the red moon, 2 decades ago. Thunder rolls above Moonveil's palace as Alpha King Kaelen kneels in a hall of mirrors, surrounded by silver flames that do not burn. Before him shimmer the lunar wraiths, faceless, robed figures made of mist and moonlight, their voices overlapping like 1,000 whispers. "You summon us for power, mortal king?" "Not power," Kaelen replies, voice trembling. "Survival. The packs rise against me. The prophecy of the twin moon draws near. I need strength that no beast, no god can challenge." The wraiths glide closer, circling him like predators. "Every gift has a price," one hisses. "Name it," Kaelen demands. "A life. Pure, royal, unsullied. One whose blood carries your legacy." Kaelen hesitates, eyes flicking toward the chamber door, where a soft laugh echoes from beyond. His daughter, Princess Lyanna, barely 17, dances through the corridor with her wolf pup, unaware of the shadows plotting her fate. "No," Kaelen whispers. "Anyone but her." Then your line falls, your crown burns, your name forgotten. He looks to the moon, red and full, staring back like an open wound, and in that silence, he kneels deeper. "Take her soul," he breathes, "but spare her pain." The wraiths smile, a sound like breaking glass. Silver fire bursts from their hands, weaving sigils across the air. "We shall grant you your reign, King of Moonveil, eternal strength, eternal dominion." But when the ritual ends, the hall trembles. Kaelen gasps, clutching his chest as the wraith's laughter twists into screams. "What have you done?" he roars. "You asked for eternal power," they echo. And so it shall be, so long as she wanders between worlds, neither dead nor alive, her soul will bind your throne and your curse. The flames extinguish. Lyanna's laughter from the corridor cuts short, replaced by a scream that shakes the palace. Kaelen runs to her chamber. All that remains is ash, a shattered mirror, and a silver crown half melted into the floor. Present day. In a darkened throne room, King Kaelen, now old and blind, sits alone before a dying fire. His crown has fused into his skull, a mark of his unending reign. The door creaks. A servant steps forward. Your Majesty, a traveler approaches, says the name Ronan. Kaelen stiffens. So, the curse has chosen. Should I send for the guards? No, he says quietly, turning his clouded eyes toward the window where the moon glows blood red. Let him come. Lyanna still watches me, she's waiting for him. As the fire dies, shadows crawl across the walls, forming the faint outline of a girl in silver. Her voice is a whisper of frost. Father, it's almost time. Kaelen's heart stops. His crown cracks, and from the fissure leaks a thread of silver mist, drifting toward the palace gates where Ronan stands staring up at the moon, his eyes beginning to glow like hers. The silver mist coils around Ronan's wrist like a living chain, sinking beneath his skin. He stumbles back, gasping, as flashes of someone else's memories flood his mind. Lyanna running through moonlit halls, fire devouring the palace, and a voice crying, Father, why? Then silence. He wakes in the ruins, cold sweat running down his back. Beside him, Lyanna's spirit materializes, her expression torn between sorrow and fury. You saw it, she whispers. I saw everything, he replies, breath ragged. Your father, he traded you. He traded us, she corrects, her voice trembling. You carry part of it now. Ronan looks at his arm. Faint moon runes glow beneath his veins. The curse is binding them together. Every beat of his heart echoes like a pulse through her ghostly form. Suddenly the palace bells, long silent, begin to ring. Lyanna's gaze sharpens. They know you're here. Who? The Blood Guard, my father's loyal sentinels. They serve the curse, not the crown. Shadows ripple across the courtyard as armored wolves emerge, their eyes silvered, their howls hollow. The Blood Guard, long thought extinct. Ronan draws his blade, but Lyanna raises a hand. They can't be killed, not by mortal steel. Then what will? The truth, she whispers. But you'll have to bleed for it. The ground quakes. The Blood Guard charge. Ronan fights, his strikes clashing with ghostly armor, sparks flying like lunar fire. Each cut he lands leaves trails of silver flame, Lyanna's energy burning through him. But with every strike, his body weakens, her sorrow feeding off his life. He collapses, and the last thing he sees is Lyanna stepping in front of him, her ghostly form solidifying for one heartbeat, alive. She unleashes a scream that shatters the night, and the Blood Guard disintegrate into ash. Silence. Lyanna kneels beside him, her hands trembling. You shouldn't have come here, Ronan. I didn't choose this. Neither did I. She reaches toward his chest. Her touch burns like frost and light all at once. You're not cursed because of me, she murmurs. You're cursed because of what you are. Ronan's eyes flick open, glowing brighter now, almost lunar white. What am I? Lyanna's gaze darkens. The last heir of the cursed bloodline, the one my father tried to erase. Before he can speak, thunder splits the sky. From the palace tower, the blind King Kaelen rises from his throne, his cracked crown now pulsing with light. His voice echoes through the ruins. The moon has chosen her vessel again. The daughter shall rise and the cursed wolf will die. Ronan stares up as the red moon trembles, and the symbol on his arm burns with fire. Ronan collapses to his knees as the curse flares beneath his skin, burning like molten moonlight. Lyanna's spirit trembles beside him, her form flickering between shadow and flesh. He knows, she whispers. My father knows you carry part of me now. From the distant towers, Kaelen's blood guards surge into the night, their armor glowing with the seal of the lunar wraiths. They move with inhuman speed, not soldiers anymore, but vessels of the pact. Ronan drags himself to his feet, gripping his blade. Then we run. There's nowhere safe, Lyanna warns. Then we find somewhere the moon can't see us. They escape through the shattered palace gates and into the forgotten forest, a place spoken of only in myth, where time bends and echoes walk backward. The air is colder here, the trees whispering in a language older than werewolves. Frost blooms beneath every step Lyanna takes. Hours or maybe days pass. Ronan can no longer tell. His memories blur. He sees flashes of Lyanna as a child, laughing in sunlight that never existed. The forest is feeding him illusions. It's testing us, Lyanna murmurs. Only those who've broken oaths are allowed inside. Then why let me through? Because you're already cursed. They stumble upon an ancient temple, half buried beneath roots and bones. Inside, torches flicker to life at Lyanna's presence. Across the cracked walls, murals shimmer to life, carved scenes of moonlit prophecy. Ronan brushes away dust and stares. The first mural shows a king kneeling before silver flames. The second, a daughter draped in light, chained between two worlds. And the last, the same daughter, her hands over her stomach, glowing with radiance. Lyanna's voice breaks. That's me. Pregnant? Ronan whispers, disbelieving. No, it's not life. It's something else. A rebirth. The flames in the temple flare, reacting to her words. The mural's eyes begin to bleed silver light. Lyanna steps closer, reaching toward her painted reflection, and for the briefest instant, her hand sinks through the wall. A low hum fills the chamber. The mural shifts. The figure of the king beside her begins to fade. The prophecy changed, Ronan mutters. Because we changed it, Lyanna replies, her tone fearful. By binding our fates, we've rewritten the oath. Suddenly the ground trembles. The air tears open behind them. Kaelen's soldiers burst through a rift, spectral and snarling. Lyanna's glow dims as they approach, their blades forged from moonlight. They think you're my anchor, she gasps. They'll kill you to free me. Then they'll have to kill a ghost first, Ronan growls. He charges, slashing through the phantoms, his cursed blood burning brighter with each strike. Lyanna screams his name as he's surrounded, her light flaring uncontrollably, ripping through the temple like a storm. The murals collapse, the runes ignite, the soldiers vanish, and in the smoking silence that follows, Lyanna stands trembling, and her form solid again, breathing. Alive. Ronan stares in disbelief. You're... No. She interrupts, her hand over her stomach. Not alive. Not yet. She looks down, faint silver light pulses beneath her palm. Inside her. It's happening, she whispers, horrified. The mural was true. Ronan steps forward, voice shaking. Lyanna, what's inside you? She looks up, eyes glowing like twin moons. The moon's child and its curse. The glow in Lyanna's chest fades, leaving only silence. Ronan kneels beside her, afraid to touch her and afraid she might vanish again. But this time, when she exhales, he feels her breath. Warm, trembling, real. You're breathing, Ronan whispers. Only for a moment, she murmurs. Every time the moon shifts, I feel more alive and more bound to its curse. They take refuge in a ruined chapel at the edge of the forgotten forest. Candlelight dances across cracked walls as Lyanna studies her reflection in a shard of glass. Her skin shimmers between life and death, half warm, half translucent. A single heartbeat echoes in her chest, weak but defiant. The wraith's hold is weakening, she says. But something is calling me back. Back where? Ronan asks. To the night I died. The moment she speaks, the air chills. The chapel trembles, and ghostly fragments swirl around them. flickers of her past bleeding into the present. Ronan sees flashes, a throne room bathed in firelight, nobles screaming, and Lyanna dressed in silver, crown gleaming. "This is it," she whispers, eyes wide. "My coronation." She steps into the vision, and Ronan follows, unseen, standing inside her memory. The hall is filled with celebration. The Moonveil crest shines above the throne. King Kaelen sits proudly beside her, lifting a chalice to toast his daughter's rise. But as Lyanna turns to receive the ceremonial blade of ascension, a shadow steps from behind the throne. Someone familiar, someone trusted. The blade glints and plunges into her chest. Lyanna gasps, clutching at her heart. Blood, real blood, seeps through her ghostly gown as the vision twists. Ronan rushes to her, but his hands pass through the illusion. "Who?" he demands. "Who killed you?" Lyanna trembles, the memory fracturing like glass. She reaches for the assassin's face, but sees only the glint of a ring, bearing the royal crest. Her father's crest. The scene erupts in fire. The coronation hall burns around them, and the vision collapses, hurling Lyanna back into Ronan's arms. She's sobbing now, real tears hot against his skin. "He was there," she whispers, voice breaking. "My father, his ring, he was the one." Ronan shakes his head. "Maybe it was someone wearing it. You don't know for sure." "I felt his scent, his power. It was him." Outside, the moon turns red once more. Lyanna's form flickers, growing faint. "If the king betrayed his blood," Ronan says grimly, "then this curse was never meant to end." "No," she replies, her tone shifting, sorrow giving way to something darker. "It will end when the truth does." She looks toward the distant palace ruins, where faint howls echo like mourning cries. Her body begins to fade again, but her heartbeat doesn't stop. It echoes through the night like a drum calling for vengeance. As the moonlight pierces the chapel's window, Lyanna clutches her chest, and a vision of the ring reappears, glowing in her palm. Etched beneath the crest are new words, not of loyalty but betrayal. "The crown's blood for the moon's power." Ronan looks up sharply. "The Alpha King didn't just make a pact," he breathes. "He sacrificed you." Lyanna's eyes lift, now cold, tear-streaked and burning with ghost fire. "Then tonight," she whispers, "I take back what he stole." The moon bleeds crimson over Moonveil Palace. Ronan storms through the shattered gates, the cursed mark on his arm burning like fire. Behind him, Lyanna's ghost drifts in silence, no longer whispering, no longer afraid. Inside the ruined throne room, the air hangs heavy with age and guilt. The once mighty Alpha King Kaelen sits slumped on his throne, blind eyes staring at nothing, his crown tarnished to gray. The sound of Ronan's footsteps echoes like thunder. "You," Kaelen croaks, sensing him. "You brought her back, didn't you?" "I didn't bring her back," Ronan growls. "You never let her go." He slams the blood-stained ring onto the floor, the one from Lyanna's vision. She remembered everything, the night of the coronation, the fire, the blade. Kaelen flinches. His withered hands tremble. "I had no choice," he whispers, voice cracking under the weight of years. "No choice?" Ronan's voice rises. "You murdered your daughter." Kaelen strikes his cane against the marble. "You fool. I saved her and all of us. The Wraiths came for the throne that night. They demanded a life of royal blood. Her life or the kingdom's." Ronan stares in disbelief. "So you chose your crown over her soul." The old king's face contorts in agony. "I chose the people, the pack. If I refused, the moon itself would have turned on us. Her death bought them 20 years of peace." The hall trembles, shadows twisting like smoke around them. Ronan senses her before she speaks, a chill sweeping through the room as Lyanna's form solidifies at the foot of the throne. Her gown flickers like liquid moonlight. Her eyes shimmer with unshed tears. Kaelen gasps. "Lyanna." "Don't say my name," she whispers. You gave it away the night you gave them my soul. The torches dim, the palace walls groan. I burned, Father. I begged for you. But you watched. You watched while they dragged me into the flames. Kaelen rises, stumbling forward. They said you'd be reborn, blessed by the moon. I was reborn, she says coldly, but not blessed. Bound. Her voice deepens, echoing with power that's no longer entirely hers. The lunar wraith's whispers ride her words, filling the air like 1,000 sighs. You broke the ancient pact, she continues, and now your throne bleeds for it. Kaelen drops to his knees, tears streaming down his hollow face. If I could trade places with you, I would. Lyanna steps closer, her feet leaving frost prints on the marble. You already did, she says. You traded my soul for your crown and the crown for your curse. Ronan tries to reach her, but she lifts a trembling hand. Her touch freezes the very air between them. This ends tonight, she says softly. The moon demands balance. Kaelen looks up, trembling. What will you do? What you could not, she whispers. Choose. The blood moonlight spills across the ring on the floor, and it begins to pulse, each beat matching Lyanna's heart. Kaelen reaches for the ring, but it burns his hand, fusing to his flesh. His scream echoes through the hall as Lyanna's ghostly light envelops him. Ronan shouts her name, but she only turns, her expression sorrowful and final. Then you chose wrong, Father. The screen fades as Kaelen's scream turns to silence and the moon shatters above Moonveil. The night screams. The moon shatters into 1,000 burning shards, raining crimson light across Moonveil. Each drop that hits the earth turns the soil black, the rivers to blood, and the wolves into something else. Ronan falls to his knees amid the storm, clutching his chest as the cursed mark blazes like molten silver. The palace around him crumbles, its marble melting into ash. From the shadows, the lunar wraiths emerge, towering formless figures cloaked in moonlight that flickers between beauty and horror. The pact was broken, they hiss. The soul once offered walks again. Balance must be restored. Lyanna stands before them, her glow trembling like a dying flame. Take me, she pleads. Spare them. But the wraiths only laugh, 1,000 voices echoing through the ruins. You are no longer ours, nor theirs. You belong nowhere. Your father's choice bound you, but his blood released you. Their eyes, pits of silver fire, turn toward Ronan. The wolf bears her essence now. Through him the curse flows. Ronan staggers, his veins burning white under his skin. His howl tears through the night, half human, half beast, shaking the forest beyond the walls. Shadows ripple through his form as his body warps, claws slicing the ground. Lyanna rushes to him, tears glowing on her translucent face. Ronan, fight it. You're stronger than them. I can't, he gasps. It's inside me. The wraith's laughter deepens. The Moonveil line has ended. The curse will live through the last wolf who dares love the dead. Their words twist the air into storms. Wolves across the kingdom cry out as their eyes turn pale silver, madness consuming them. Rivers spill blood down the hills. Trees rot under the scarlet light. Lyanna's voice trembles with desperation. Please, end it before it consumes you, before it consumes everything. Ronan's claws dig into the earth as he kneels, panting. You're asking me to kill you? To free me, she whispers, stepping close enough that her frost touches his cheek. If I die by your hand, the bond breaks. The curse dies with me. He grips his sword, its blade now glowing with the same moonlight that once bound them. His eyes glisten with anguish. I can't lose you again. She places her hand over his heart. You already did. The wraiths begin to close in, whispering her name, feeding on her fading light. Ronan roars, raising his sword high, every muscle trembling, torn between love and duty. The world slows, the blood rain ceases midair. Lyanna smiles faintly through her tears. Thank you for seeing me. He swings. The blade pierces light, but her body dissolves into mist before it touches her. The sword strikes the ground, splitting the earth as the wraiths scream in rage. The moonlight vanishes, leaving only darkness and the echo of her voice. Ronan drops to his knees, clutching the empty air where she once stood. A whisper, faint but clear, drifts through the silence. Find me before the next moon rises. And then from the blackened sky, a new cracked moon begins to form. The night after the shattered moon, silence drapes over Moonveil like a burial shroud. Smoke coils from the ruins of the palace, and the blood-red rivers whisper secrets of the dead. In the cold wind, a name spreads, Arendor, the Shadow Prince. Once Kaelen's most loyal warlord, Arendor vanished during the Wraith Wars 2 decades ago. Now he walks again, his armor black as obsidian, his eyes twin mirrors of the fractured moon. The wolves that cross his path fall to their knees, trembling. He carries no heartbeat, no scent, only the echo of otherworldly power. Ronan senses his approach before he sees him. His cursed mark burns like fire, warning of something ancient, something wrong. He's not alive, Ronan mutters to himself. He's what the wraiths left behind. From the shadows, Arendor's voice slithers through the mist. You've touched the Moonveil ghost. You carry her light. That makes you mine. Steel clashes as Ronan attacks, but his blade slices through air. Arendor's form flickers like smoke, reforming behind him. The warlord's shadow stretches unnaturally long, whispering in forgotten tongues. Each word twists the wind, and nearby trees rot at their roots. Why are you hunting her? Ronan demands. Arendor smiles faintly, revealing teeth too sharp to be human. The girl's spirit holds the lunar seed, the power that birthed the moon itself. Whoever controls it, controls fate. The ground trembles as spectral chains rise from beneath, binding Ronan's legs. His mark glows in protest, but Arendor only laughs. She thinks she's free, but she's still bound to her father's sin. Far away, Lyanna's faint silhouette flickers above her tomb, her presence weakening. She senses Kaelen's heartbeat faint, trapped in the dungeons of what remains of Moonveil Castle. Her eyes widen in horror. Father, she whispers. He's still alive? Arendor descends into the ruins, dragging the old king from the shadows. Kaelen, now pale and blind, trembles before him. You were my general. Arendor kneels, his voice a mockery of loyalty. I was your weapon. Now I serve the Wraith's will. He raises his blade, its edge humming with cursed light. You traded your daughter's soul for a crown. Now your debt is due. Kaelen gasps as Arendor's hand closes around his throat. Please, not her. But Arendor only tightens his grip. Bring me her spirit, he commands the knight. Or the king's blood ends the Moonveil line forever. Lightning cracks across the shattered sky. The wraith sigils burn on the castle walls, pulsing like veins. Lyanna's ghost flickers violently, torn between worlds as she screams, Ronan, he's going to kill him. Ronan rises from the chains, his eyes silvered, fangs bared, every vein lit with moonfire. He howls the sound of rage, love, and ancient power shaking the ruins to their core. Through the crimson mist, Arendor turns toward the echo of that howl. His mouth curves into a cruel smile. Good. Let the wolf come. The final shot lingers on Kaelen's terrified eyes as the moon's reflection fades from them and a single drop of silver blood slides down his cheek. The night breathes fire over Moonveil Castle. Smoke rises from the ruins and Arendor's laughter echoes between the shattered towers. Bound in silver chains, the Alpha King gasps for air, his life ebbing with each tightening pulse. From the mist, Ronan steps into the courtyard alone. His wounds glow faintly, his eyes dull but determined. He drops his blade to the ground, the clang ringing like a death bell. I've come to trade myself, he says. Release the king. Arendor tilts his head, intrigued. The cursed wolf sacrifices himself for a dying monarch. Touching, but foolish. The shadows around him ripple, the wraiths whispering through the veil, their voices slithering like silk. His blood is the key. His curse completes the bond. Ronan clenches his fists as black mist coils around his body, binding him to a circle drawn in glowing runes. The symbols pulse, drinking from his curse, feeding Arendor's ritual. The warlord steps forward, his eyes reflecting twin moons. With your blood, he intones, the lunar seed shall awaken, and the ghost will no longer wander. She will serve. But unseen to all, Lyanna drifts behind him, her translucent form trembling as she watches Ronan fall to his knees. His head bows, not in defeat, but in resolve. She reaches out, her hand hovering over his heart, her whisper trembling with grief. You shouldn't have come alone. Her voice cracks the ritual's silence. Arendor turns sharply, sensing her presence. Ah, the lost princess joins her cursed knight. How poetic. He strikes his blade into the circle and light explodes, tearing through the courtyard. Ronan screams as his curse ignites, his veins glowing white-hot. The wraiths chant faster, binding both mortal and spirit. Lyanna looks at him, her tears silver. If you fall, the curse lives. If I fall, the truth dies. She presses her hand into his chest and steps into him. A rush of cold and flame collides as her soul merges with his. His body convulses. His breath stops. The chains shatter. His scream turns into a roar that shakes the ground itself. Arendor staggers back, shielding his face from the surge of moonlight. What have you done? Ronan stands, but it's no longer just him. His hair drifts in spectral winds. His voice layered his and hers. You wanted the lunar seed, the merged voice echoes. Now face its wrath. The runes burn out, the wraiths shrieking as their own magic backfires. Arendor's armor cracks under the radiant pressure. In the distance, Kaelen looks up weakly from the chains, whispering, Lyanna, my child. Ronan turns toward him, his eyes blazing, no longer amber but pure silver, filled with the haunting calm of the moon. Arendor's shadow peels off the ground, forming a second figure, a mirror of Ronan, and sneers, Then let's see which soul survives the night. The scene fades to black as the two figures, light and shadow, charge toward each other under a screaming blood moon. The impact of their clash tears open the night. Light and shadow explode across the ruins, splitting the courtyard into two realms, one burning silver, the other drowning in darkness. Ronan, now fused with Lyanna, rises amid the chaos. His every breath flickers between his voice and hers, a shared existence fighting to stay whole. The Wraith army descends, ghostly wolves with molten eyes and howls that shake the earth. Their claws scrape through marble, through bone, through time itself. Ronan raises his sword, glowing like a piece of the moon. Lyanna's spirit flows through him, guiding his strikes with otherworldly precision. Left, they're binding your shadow, she whispers inside him. Then I'll burn brighter, he answers aloud. Each swing cleaves both flesh and soul, light scattering the wraiths into starlit dust. Yet with every kill, the silver in his veins dims. The merging is consuming them both. Arendor emerges through the smoke, his armor cracked, eyes flickering with black fire. Two souls cannot share one vessel, he snarls. You'll tear each other apart before dawn. Ronan lunges, but Arendor channels the wraith's energy, hurling spectral chains that wrap around Ronan's arms. The runes burn and Lyanna's scream echoes through him. For a heartbeat, their bond fractures, half of his face ghostly pale, the other bleeding crimson. Kaelen, still chained nearby, watches in horror. He sees what no one else can, the moon fading behind the clouds. Without it, Lyanna will vanish forever. Summoning the last of his strength, the old Alpha rips free from his restraints, dragging his broken body into the battlefield. Enough, he roars, his voice shaking the heavens. Take me. End the line. End the curse. Arendor laughs, dark and cold. You have nothing left to offer, old wolf. Kaelen's eyes glisten with grief as he looks at the merged figure before him, his daughter and the stranger who saved her. Then let my blood finish what my sin began. Before anyone can stop him, he plunges his claws into his chest, unleashing a surge of lunar energy that erupts like a dying star. The wraiths recoil, screaming as their essence begins to unravel. Ronan or Lyanna reaches out in horror. Father, don't. Kaelen smiles weakly through tears. My last moon, forgive me. The blast engulfs them all in radiant fire. Shadows burn. Light shatters. And when the glow fades, Kaelen's body lies still, his eyes open toward the moon that no longer shines. The battlefield falls silent, the air thick with ash and sorrow. As Ronan kneels beside the fallen king, his reflection in the pool of blood wavers for the first time. Lyanna's face stares back at him from within. Her voice trembles from the void. He gave his life, but the curse is still here inside us. The wind howls, and somewhere beyond the ruins, the wraiths begin to whisper her name again. The night Kaelen died, the moon did not rise. Its absence tore a hole through the sky, a silent wound that bled silver rain. The ashes of his sacrifice still drifted across the battlefield, glowing faintly like embers that refused to die. Ronan stood amid the ruin, trembling. The ground pulsed beneath his feet, heartbeat for heartbeat, matching his own. Inside him, Lyanna's voice quivered, faint but clear. The fire, it's coming back. Before he could speak, the air split open with a shriek of burning wind. From Kaelen's fallen body, streams of crimson light erupted, twisting into serpents of flame. They circled the palace ruins, devouring the sky. The same fire that had claimed Lyanna 20 years ago had returned, alive, hungry, and unbound. Ronan fell to his knees, clutching his chest as the fusion between them faltered. Half his body shimmered ghost-like, the other, raw flesh blistering under the fire's heat. Stay with me, he gasped. You said you'd hold on. I'm trying, Lyanna whispered. But he released the fire that killed me, the fire that made me. Images began flooding his mind, fragments of her death, a coronation crown melting, screams, betrayal. The flames swallowing her as her father turned away in tears. Every memory burned through him until his own skin smoked with her pain. Ronan staggered toward the rising inferno, gripping his sword. Then we end it together. But the fire moved like it remembered her. From within the blaze, a figure began to take shape, Lyanna's younger self, made of flame and sorrow. She looked at him, eyes glowing gold instead of silver. You're not me, the fire echo said softly. You're what's left. The two Lyannas, one spirit within Ronan, one born of fire, began to merge and repel in violent bursts. Every pulse cracked the earth, sending arcs of silver flame through the ruins. Ronan screamed, trying to hold the connection, but his heartbeat stuttered. Hers were fading. Lyanna, listen to me, he begged. You don't understand, she murmured weakly inside him. That fire isn't just memory, it's the curse, and it's choosing which of us will survive. Ronan dropped to his knees as his veins began to glow. The fire Lyanna stepped closer, her burning hand reaching for his chest. If you keep me alive, the fire echo whispered, you'll die with her. But if you let me in, I can save the world she doomed. Ronan's pulse slowed. Between the two Lyannas, one spirit of love, one of flame. He felt his soul being torn in two. Then the fire exploded outward, consuming the ruins in a single blinding flash. When the light faded, silence reigned once more. The palace was gone. The night was black, and only Ronan's scorched silhouette knelt where the moonlight should have been. Inside him, Lyanna's voice returned, faint, broken, trembling like an echo fading into eternity. When I fade, so will you. Her whisper fades. and in the reflection of molten stone, Ronan sees his own eyes flicker not silver but the color of fire. The night Ronan's eyes turned to fire, the moon broke. A single crack split its face thin at first, then widening like a wound that refused to heal. The sky trembled. Silver lightning slashed through the clouds, and blood rain began to fall upon Moonveil. The curse was awake again, and this time it wanted everything. Ronan stood in the ruins, clutching his chest as the fire within him convulsed. Lyanna's presence flickered in his mind like a fading heartbeat. The moon, she gasped weakly. It's shattering because of me. No, Ronan growled, his voice breaking. Because of him. Far above the burning horizon, dark sigils spiraled across the moon's surface Arendor's mark. Every werewolf in the nearby lands howled in unison as the curse surged through their veins, turning their eyes red and their minds to madness. The packs began devouring their own, bound by rage instead of loyalty. Ronan stumbled through the chaos, trying to keep control as Lyanna's power flared uncontrollably inside him. His skin pulsed with shifting light silver, then crimson, then pure white. Every time her spirit tried to stabilize, a shockwave burst outward, tearing through the forest like a storm of spectral fire. Then came the voice. Still trying to hold on to a ghost-cursed wolf? Arendor emerged from the lightning, his armor forged from the shattered fragments of the moon itself. Each step he took cracked the ground beneath him. The mark of the wraiths burned in his eyes, and his smile was cold as the grave. She doesn't belong inside you, he hissed. She belongs to the moon. Ronan raised his sword, but his hands shook. Her power was overwhelming him, bending reality itself. Trees bent backward, rivers floated upward, and time itself stuttered. Lyanna's voice screamed inside his mind. Ronan, you have to let me go before. But Arendor moved faster than sound. His shadow stretched like a serpent and wrapped around Ronan's chest. Silver chains burst from the ground, pinning him to the ruins. The air crackled. No! Ronan roared, but Arendor was already whispering the ancient binding spell. Lyanna's scream echoed through both worlds. Her spirit tore out of Ronan's body like mist pulled from fire, spinning violently through the air, torn between life and limbo once again. The moon above them shattered completely, raining shards of light that cut through the battlefield. Ronan fell, empty, his body collapsing as the glow left his eyes. Lyanna hovered mid-air, struggling against invisible hands that dragged her upward toward the crimson sky. Arendor lifted his hand, his expression triumphant as the shards of the moon circled him like a crown. The ghost becomes the goddess, he declared, his voice rumbling like thunder, and her rebirth will end the living world. The sky went silent. The last sliver of the moon cracked and fell. Ronan's hand twitched weakly toward her fading figure, his whisper barely audible. Lyanna, don't forget me. Her eyes open, glowing brighter than the broken moon as she whispers from the heavens, I remember everything. The moon was gone. Only embers remained drifting through the black sky like the ashes of a god. Moonveil lay in ruin. Rivers ran red, trees stood petrified, and the once mighty wolves that guarded the valley howled no more. The curse had eaten everything except the dying heartbeat of one man, Ronan. He stumbled through the wreckage, his armor broken, his hands shaking. The light in his eyes was gone, the last remnants of Lyanna's soul ripped from him in that terrible flash. He was mortal now, bleeding, fragile and utterly alone. Every breath felt borrowed, every step stolen from death's grasp. Yet he refused to stop. She's not gone, he whispered through the smoke. Not while I still breathe. Around him the survivors began to gather, the few who had resisted the wraith's madness. Scarred warriors, broken wolves, and one blind seer. Together, they were the last howl of Moonveil, the resistance born from ruin. The seer touched Ronan's chest where a faint silver ember still pulsed beneath his skin. The moon's flame lingers in you, she murmured, a tear she shed for love before the end. It is your path and your doom. That night, Ronan stood before the fallen altar of the moon goddess, his sword buried in the cracked earth. The wolves howled not in rage this time, but in mourning. Their cries echoed through the mountains like a requiem for everything lost. "We fight," Ronan said, voice steady despite the blood that stained his lips. "Not for the crown, not for vengeance, for her, for the one who became the light and the one who must return." The warriors knelt. Even the cursed wolves lowered their heads, the last act of loyalty to their fading alpha. When the winds rose again, carrying the scent of silver and ash, Ronan felt it faint but real, a whisper of her voice in the storm. "Ronan. Lyanna?" he gasped. A single drop of light fell from the sky, glowing, soft, and alive. It landed on his palm and shimmered like a living tear. Her tear, the last thing she left behind before being taken into the spirit realm. The seer's eyes widened. "The veil calls you. No mortal may cross and live." "Then I will die standing," Ronan said quietly, tightening his grip around the glowing tear. He turned to his companions one last time. "If I do not return, burn the chains. End the curse. Let the wolves remember who they were." Then, with the moon's tear as his guide, he stepped into the heart of the ruins, where reality trembled and shadows bled into starlight. The ground split open, revealing a river of souls flowing beneath the earth. He took one breath, whispered her name, and leapt. The world inverted, time shattered. The mortal heartbeat faded, yet Ronan did not die. Instead, his body dissolved into light, his spirit forming anew within the silver expanse of the spirit realm. He stood once more wounded, human, yet alive, surrounded by whispering ghosts and a pale horizon. In his hand, the tear pulsed brighter, pointing toward the unseen depths. "Lyanna," he said softly. "I'm coming." A spectral voice behind him answered, not Lyanna's, but another. "Then you will walk through every death she ever faced." The spirit realm was not heaven, it was memory. Ronan emerged from the silver mist, each breath heavy with echoes of lives long gone. The ground beneath his feet shimmered like glass, reflecting 1,000 faces laughing, weeping, fading, all souls Lyanna had touched. Their whispers surrounded him, soft as falling snow, heavy as the moon. "Why are you here, mortal?" they asked. "To find her," he replied. "To bring her home." Every step forward brought another vision. He saw Lyanna as a child, chasing starlight through the palace gardens. He saw her comforting dying soldiers during the last moon wars, her tears glowing as she healed them. He saw her burning yet smiling as she stood between the kingdom and the wraiths, choosing death so others might live. "She gave herself," one spirit murmured. "Her sacrifice sealed the rift. Her soul became the key to the world's balance." Ronan's throat tightened. For the first time, he understood. She hadn't been cursed. She had chosen the chains. Every whisper, every haunting, it was never vengeance. It was love, restrained by duty. But then the realm trembled. The light around him flickered, turning crimson. The faces melted into shadows. From the void, the lunar wraiths emerged tall, featureless, cloaked in moonfire and silence. Their voices blended like broken hymns. "Her soul is rewriting itself," they hissed. "She becomes what we were, eternal, unfeeling, divine." Ronan drew his blade of spectral steel. "Then I'll tear eternity apart if I must." The wraiths circled him, laughter like wind through bones. "You would fight the law of life and death for love?" "For her," he growled. A pause. Then the largest wraith leaned forward, its eyes like eclipsed stars. "Then make the trade." The world froze. His reflection in the mirrored ground began to split, one form living, one fading. "One life for hers," the wraith said. "Yours for the moon daughters." Ronan's heart pounded. He felt her presence even now, faint and warm, calling from somewhere deeper in the realm. Her voice brushed his mind, pleading. Don't do this. I chose this path. Then let me choose mine, he whispered. The wraiths stretched out a hand of light and shadow. Decide before the next moon fades. Her rebirth nears, and once she ascends, even love will not reach her. As they vanished into mist, the mirrored realm darkened, leaving Ronan alone beneath a bleeding moon. His reflection still split, one fading into her shape, the other clutching the blade. He looked up at the endless void. If my death can bring her peace, he said quietly, then let the moon bear witness. A sudden voice behind him, soft, trembling, alive, whispered his name. Ronan, don't. He turned and saw Lyanna's spirit standing there, eyes filled with both love and fear. The realm between worlds trembled, a heartbeat away from collapse. Ronan stood before the wraiths, his shadow flickering like dying firelight. Their hollow voices echoed through the void, ancient and merciless. One life for hers. The law is written. The moon will witness. He looked down at his hands, trembling, scarred, still stained with both blood and light. Then he smiled, faint but sure. If her soul still remembers love, he said, then let mine be the price. The wraiths extended their hands. The air cracked open. Energy surged through him, cold as ice, sharp as grief. His body began to fracture, glowing veins of silver light spreading across his skin. His heartbeat slowed, each pulse releasing a wisp of spirit. Somewhere in the darkness, a whisper called his name, soft, broken, desperate. Ronan, stop, please. Lyanna appeared, her form half real, flickering between ghost and flesh. Her eyes, once dim, now shone with life's first warmth. She stumbled toward him, reaching out, but her hands passed through his chest, scattering particles of his fading soul. Why? She begged, tears streaking her silver cheeks. Because you deserve to live, he whispered. To finish what the moon began. She shook her head, clutching his fading arm. I was never meant to return. Then let me be the reason you do. The wraiths chanted, ancient and rhythmic, their words weaving a circle of light around them. Lyanna's body grew solid, her heart beginning to beat again, while Ronan's form shattered into luminous dust. Every memory they shared flashed between them, the first touch beneath the red moon. The laughter in the ruins, the pain, the hope, the vow. He brushed a final tear from her cheek. You once said you were bound between life and death, he murmured. Then meet me there, she whispered, trembling. Someday, under the same moon. The world shook. The mirror realm fractured. The skies of Moonveil split apart, and rivers of light cascaded over the cursed lands. Lyanna fell to her knees, gasping, reborn, her heartbeat echoing like thunder. Ronan's outline faded completely now, only his voice lingering in the air. Gentle, calm, eternal. Live, Lyanna. That's my last promise. She pressed her lips to the shimmering air where he once stood, a kiss that burned with grief and gratitude, and in a burst of light, his soul scattered across the heavens like silver embers. The wraiths bowed silently before vanishing, their duty fulfilled. The moon turned white again. The curse began to lift. As the world above collapses in light and flame, Lyanna looks up at the sky, whispering through tears. You kept your promise, Ronan. Now it's my turn. Behind her, a single glowing wolf made of starlight howled, Ronan's final echo across the veil. The first light of dawn broke over Moonveil, pale, fragile, and quiet. The crimson sky that once bled curses now shimmered with calm silver mist. Among the ruins of what was once a proud kingdom, Lyanna rose. Her breath formed in the cold air, alive, truly alive. Yet her pulse echoed like an empty drum inside her chest. She touched the scar over her heart, feeling Ronan's absence like a phantom wound that refused to heal. Around her, the wraith's sigils crumbled to dust. The cursed rivers turned clear, and wolves across the realm howled in mournful freedom. Moonveil was reborn, but its savior stood alone. Clutching Ronan's pendant, she wandered through the broken halls of her childhood palace. Each step echoed with memories, laughter, firelight, betrayal, and his voice. His last words played endlessly in her mind. "Live, Lyanna. That's my last promise." She found his sword buried in the ash-cold, lifeless metal, yet glowing faintly with his lingering essence. Kneeling beside it, she pressed her forehead to the hilt. "You freed me," she whispered, "but you took my heart with you." The wind stirred, carrying his scent, pine and rain. The ghost of a touch brushed her cheek. She looked up, half hoping, half knowing. Only silence answered. Hours passed before she reached the cliff overlooking the sea. Dawn shimmered upon the water, golden and pure. She stood there, the pendant glinting against her chest, her gown rippling like mist. "The curse is broken," she murmured. "The wraiths are gone, but the world feels quieter, emptier without you." The waves rolled gently against the shore, almost as if listening. Her reflection trembled on the surface of the water. For a fleeting moment she saw them both, herself, and beside her, Ronan's face. Tears blurred her sight. She smiled softly, aching yet serene. "You freed me," she whispered to the horizon where the moon sank into light. "But I'll wander until I find you again." The morning wind rose. Her hair lifted like a banner of silver flame, and then her reflection shimmered. The water rippled. The reflection of Ronan turned toward her, eyes bright, smile faint but full of peace. "You already have," it whispered, voice soft as dawn. Lyanna gasped, stepping closer, but the image dissolved into silver ash, spreading across the waves. She reached out, her fingers brushing only light. The pendant on her chest pulsed once, a single heartbeat that wasn't hers. As the sun climbed higher, Lyanna stood tall, tears gleaming like crystals in the early light. The wind carried a single howl through the valley, the sound of a wolf reborn in eternity. The screen fades to white, then to silver ash. Two shadows, one of a woman, one of a wolf, walking side by side across the dawn mist. The end.